Yeah, it's amazing because I'm not sure how people in America who are doing it, but I keep it really blind, as in the people don't know anything at all. I talk to the person before the constellation, before the workshop. So I find out what they want to look at there, and then we kind of figure out what we're going to start with. And to the degree where we don't even name them, I call them one and two and three. So it's really blind because
Oh
I
wow.
don't want people to get their heads in the way.
Right.
Yeah, because as humans, we're so attached to story.
Of
So if
course.
someone's sitting there and saying, my parents are, an angry, abusive, whatever person or something like that, and we've now heard that story, if we're then asked to represent, let's say, that person, we've got this preconceived idea about what we just heard.
Right.
And I want to bypass that because usually underneath anger, there's other emotions. And if we kind of go, right, I have to be this angry person, whatever, because that's what I heard, we don't get to what's really going on. And
Right.
so I kind of help everybody by going, you know what? You don't know. You've got no idea what's going on here. You don't even know which one of you is representing the client that's sitting here.
Right.
But the client knows, and I know. And so the client's sitting there almost like watching and going, how is this possible? They don't know who they are. They don't know which one's me. They don't know what I'm
Right.
looking at. Yet they're saying words out of their mouth that I could tell you that my father or my mother said a month ago.
Yes.
Like, how is that possible? Well, that's
Right.
exactly the dynamic that goes on.
Yeah.
How is that possible? But what's also phenomenal about that is sometimes, as we, let's say, maybe we start with, as an easy example, mum, dad, and the client, but we might get bigger. We might bring in grandparents or things like that. And then what happens is each of them are saying what they're feeling. Sometimes it can be such a light bulb moment for the client because they go, wow, grandma, grandfather, mum, dad, all these people are feeling different feelings, but yet I feel all of them in my body. No wonder it's so overwhelming in here.
Right.
Like it just is like, wow, like I'm feeling all of this in one little body, and here
Right.
I'm seeing that actually it belongs to, five, six different people.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's mind blowing for people.
Yeah. It makes sense. It just when you do the work, it makes sense. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I could see, sometimes the way I explain it is like, all right, think about if intelligence gets passed down, right? Or looks gets passed down, why won't experiences or those things get passed down to generation? And people are like, oh, that makes sense. And I'm like, yeah. So you
Mm,
could be the carrier of that. You could be, depending on the
mm,
dynamics in your family. And so, when
mm.
people start thinking about that, it's like, oh, okay.
And you know what? There's actually science that's proven it now. So there's something called epigenetics,
Yes.
which is a science. It's proven
Right.
that when your grandmother was pregnant with your mother, 5 months in, your mother had all of her eggs and one
Right.
of them was you. So if grandma's experiencing, so I actually had this as a real example from a client. I'll tell you, I always use the same scenario. So, and I said, so imagine grandma's pregnant with your mother or your father. It could be either because he's got some of his sperm. Like imagine your grandmother's pregnant and then all of a sudden grandfather dies in an accident. And I had this client who said, that's actually what happened. And what she came with was when she said she was in a happy marriage, when she got pregnant, all of a sudden she thought her husband was having an affair. He was going to leave her. They started fighting. She said it's just been awful ever since. And I told her that story and she said, oh, my grandfather did actually die when my grandmother was pregnant. And I said, so maybe the fear that you had that your husband was going to leave when you were pregnant is actually your grandmother's because he did actually leave.
Right.
But he didn't have an affair, he died.
Yeah.
And she, like the whole thing changed. Her
Yeah.
relationship just went back to normal. She stopped thinking he was going to leave and she realized that her fears were all her grandmother's.
Yes.